Examine, monsieur. We are now approaching Springfield.
No, please. This can't be it. Which Springfield is this? Land of Lincoln?
I'm sorry, no.
The birthplace of basketball?
No, it's this Springfield.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
I must rescue them.
Inside.
Foreclose that Tristan lost at Bold 3. Spray. Relief.
Springfield, Ohio.
Springfield, Ohio.
Springfield, Ohio. Springfield, Ohio.
Springfield, Ohio.
Springfield, Ohio is a city on edge after several bomb threats over the weekend.
False claims that had been spread by Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, targeting Haitian immigrants in the city.
It was an extraordinary claim. So what is really going on?
Hoy yo estaba en fiesta hoy. Hoy un fiesta de gato.
¿De gato?
Sí, yo viví en Lancheta.
Yo no entiendo, ¿cómo gato?
Gato para cochar y para hacer una fiesta.
¿Tú comes gato?
Ay, yo muchacho, esa es la vida mía.
Mi gente, ese es uno de los que comen gato.
Bien. Yo soy los haitianos, yo comen gato.
They would sacrifice animals, you know, and that was cruel, you know.
That's something you heard or something you saw?
I seen it, you know.
You saw it?
I called in to it about it, and nothing was ever done.
But I know he was crying and upset because they killed his cats. You know, people's talking about their dogs being stolen and eaten. It's ridiculous.
It is these pictures of Border Patrol agents on horseback pushing migrants into the river that have caused so much anger. For some, they carry the echoes of the worst chapters of American history.
What we witnessed takes us back hundreds of years. What we witnessed was worse than what we witnessed in slavery. Cowboys, with their reins again, whipping black people, Haitians, into the water.
Clark County Communications.
Yes, ma'am. I got a question. This is a non-emergency line, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm sitting here. I'm riding on the trail going to my orientation for my job today. And I see a group of Haitian people. There was about 4 of them. They all had geese in their hands. They got away. I couldn't make out the first 3 of the license plate, but I got the numbers.
First of all, let me classify something for you here. We're all different, right? As you can see. If you take 20,000 people from any country and move them to another country, there's going to be a percentage of bad eggs in that crowd. But also importantly, you have to remember there's going to be a lot of good eggs too. So this video isn't about directing hate towards anybody. However, it is important to speak the truth and not dismiss the truth when you see it. And the truth is, really, the system is broken.
Today, the small city of Springfield, Ohio, found itself at the center of a fraught election year issue: immigration. Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance claims that Haitian migrants in Springfield are, quote, draining social services and causing chaos. He's also repeated a baseless rumor, already debunked by city officials, about pets being abducted and eaten.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. This shit is not fun. This shit is not cool, bro. They really out here decapitating animals and y'all are making jokes out of it. Imagine if you went outside and you saw your dog's head decapitated on the fucking ground. Like, are you, dude, why are y'all thinking this just a joke? It's not a joke.
And I don't even want to, seem like I'm coming down on the immigrants, because it's the people that's bringing them down here. Because wherever they're at, that's what they're used to, bro. They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them like.
Yo, what is this they got on the grill?
Did they kill some cats?
Man, listen, man. There go a cat right there. His ass better get missing, man. Look like his homies on the grill, man. What the fuck?
You cannot browbeat people into being silent about the real world issues just around you because someone, somewhere might, oh, dare I say it, get offended. We need to get this right. Right now. Because this isn't going away. This is only going to get more intense as time goes on.
Chat là, quitter chat en bas des marais pour pas prendre.
Yeah, pour qu'ils aillent prendre.
Pour manger.
Oh, she says that she is keeping this little cat here and she's tying it up so that nobody steals it. And I said, well, why would someone steal it? And she says, because they'll eat it.
So let me ask you from the outset. Do you like cats? Do you have animals? Do you keep any pets? Do you consider the pet in your household to be a family member? Then wouldn't you be quite beside yourself to know that your cat or your pet had been captured by some neighbors of yours and had their neck twisted and eaten for ritualistic purposes to bring somebody somewhere luck? Wow, that would be kind of crazy, right? That would be pretty horrible, wouldn't it? You'd probably consider moving out, wouldn't you? You'd probably consider maybe revenge. I would say that's not really good for community cohesion, wouldn't you?
It was the very first day of school, and a school bus full of kids was coming down this road. A driver coming in the other direction came around that bend, said he was blinded by the sun. He clipped the bus, and the bus ended up in this ditch.
We begin with breaking news. Right now, multiple law enforcement agencies are on the scene of a deadly school bus crash.
Dozens of children were injured, and 11-year-old Aiden Clark died. When the driver was revealed to be a Haitian immigrant without a U.S. license, things erupted.
The majority of the Haitians here are low-skilled, and they're illiterate.
I want to know who's bossing them in. Who's responsible for that, and who can stop them from coming?
Our concerns don't have anything to do with racism. They have to do with lack of affordable housing.
I'm getting thousands of views on these, and it's going to get bigger, and it's only going to get worse. And y'all sitting up there in these chairs, all y'all need to get out here and do something. Y'all making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Y'all need to put on a t-shirt and some Crocs, and then y'all need to come out here in these streets, and y'all need to go out here and
So what the heck, huh? Those of you who know me know that I don't really cover non-game related content. Apart from a few spicy Twitter posts on X, I don't normally cover non-game related subjects. I'm quite bad at this, by the way, as you can already tell. But this particular story we're going to cover in this video is quite close to my heart. And for you to understand that, let me start you off with a quick story. Story time with Ark. All right, everybody, buckle in. I once studied plumbing and became a plumber's apprentice, right? I worked with two plumbers who recruited me, and it was in a really English pub in the middle of winter. It was kind of funny, if you ask me. You'd probably laugh at it if you saw how it went down. Actually, I could be honest with you. I was so green behind the ears that they asked me for a drink. What do you want to get? And I said, oh, I'll get a pint of Guinness. And actually, they brought the pint of Guinness over, but they also brought a Foster's. And I didn't even know what a pint of Guinness looked like. So I just drank the Foster's. Kind of rookie mistake to make, huh? You're telling me. Kind of embarrassing to look back on, that's for sure. But anyway, during some of my first weeks, I began to know my bosses a bit better. And while sitting there, eating some packed lunches, looking out across the garden with one of my colleagues, one of my bosses, in fact, he said to me, he confided in me that he hates cats. He despises cats. And he would go so far as shoot them with a .22 rifle on his property. I found it alarming, to say the least, and I thought he was joking, so I kind of pressed him on about it. And he went into great detail how they defecated on his large garden lawn, and he didn't like that. And I said, well, what the heck, dude? What if they're actually, like, not wild feral cats? What if they're actually your neighbor's cats as well? And he said to me, and I quite remember it very clearly, he said, then they should stop letting them shit on my lawn. I didn't make it too obvious at the time, but I was disgusted by the attitude. And 1 week later, I made up an excuse why I couldn't continue on with them. See, growing up, we had a lot of cats in my household. And I loved them like family. I'd see them grow up from being kittens. We found them actually underneath the couch. Unrealistically, I know. They had burrowed a hole into the couch, and my cat, Millie was her name, a black cat. Millie was beautiful. She was the matriarch of the group, and she had given birth to a litter underneath the couch. And I pulled up the cushion and I said, Mom, look, there's kittens. And there they were, being licked after they'd just been born. It was kind of weird, but I don't know. Anyway, I saw them grow up. I saw them develop their own personalities. I saw them have their own foibles, their own likes, their dislikes, the stuff that they did that we found funny. And any cat that had died, maybe run over by a car in the street, or had just died of old age, we would do a small kind of like funeral for them, right? They'd get buried in the back garden. They were like family members to us. It's really important to notice that we in Europe and the West love our pets. We treat them like family. So, with you knowing that now, maybe you'd understand how hard it was for me to research the subject of the Ohio cat killers and watch the footage of cats being systematically killed and eaten alive by a certain group of people who are making their way into the USA in droves. I'm talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, right?
Under the International Bridge in Del Rio in Texas, a camp that's become home to thousands and which reveals yet another crisis at the border in America. They cross the Rio Grande River that forms the border between the US and Mexico, most of them Haitians, willing to take the chance that they will be processed and allowed in, willing to tolerate what's been described as a squalid existence here.
The problem is J.D. Vance, Trump, brought this up, and despite it being a thing that was a thing that was being spoken about ahead of time by the residents of Springfield, Ohio, for over a year ahead of time, not even just Springfield, in the surrounding area as well. Well, the unfortunate thing is, people don't like it when they make a point, right? So it can't be entertained, it can't be true, right? It just can't be. Because that would be given a political point. Especially about a very contentious subject, like immigration, right? But they're ignoring that people from all denominations, black, white, and otherwise, have recounted their experiences about their animals being eaten, taken, beheaded, a lot of other stuff. And it's just thrown onto the cutting room floor because it's not politically acceptable.
I don't feel comfortable walking anywhere. Like, what the fuck? I should be able to feel safe in my own city. Everybody's fucking homeless out here. Ain't shit but fucking scary ass Haitians just lurking and creeping and shit. Y'all thinking this shit's motherfucking funny? I keep making this shit up. It's not made up, bro.
Everyone is talking about the death of ducks and cats in this town, but I'd like to talk about the death of one very special person, my mother-in-law, Kathy Heaton. On December 1st, I received a phone call that changed my life forever. She was collecting her trash can from her driveway when a car struck and killed her instantly. A task she had done over 2,000 times, spanning 4 decades in Springfield. That morning, though, a Haitian immigrant was allegedly driving recklessly when he struck and killed her. I say allegedly because to this day, there's been no punishment, not even for the expired tags on the vehicle he was driving.
Only reason I even went on here and said something about it is because somebody told me they walking from the school and a Haitian almost ran into them. And who is getting paid? Like, how much money is y'all really getting paid, like, to bring them over here? Like, I know it's deeper than them. I know that's where they come from and that's what they do. That's their country. I don't know what they got going on over there, but they can't do that over here. And if y'all just getting paid from it and then y'all ain't doing nothing about it, I think that's super weird, bro. Y'all got to stand on business. Y'all got to really, like, step up. Like, it's lame, bro. Like, for real.
I know you'll be surprised to hear this, but the mainstream media isn't being entirely honest with you. I've seen countless fact checkers, interviews of Haitians in Springfield, and journalists approaching the subject of the widely reported, unfounded, and debunked rumors of animal slaughters in Springfield at the hands of some Haitians. The one thing they all avoid talking about is voodoo. I didn't mispronounce that. Vodou is Haiti's version of voodoo. And I've been learning a lot about it. So let's discuss voodoo and what I've learned. Now, I'm not an authority on this. My pronunciations won't be great. And this is what I've gleaned rightly or wrongly from a couple days research, so you don't have to. But there may be specifics here open to debate like there always is in religions, right? So bear with me. So let's start off at the top, shall we? Their god is Bon Dieu, and they are known as Vaudousan. Vaudousan is the plural of voodooists, kind of thing, right? And they mostly seem to interact with spirits called Loa, which are comparable to angels or saints, underneath Bon Dieu. There are multiple nations of voodoo, from the Rada, Petwo, and Gede nations, who have their own pantheons. There's apparently like 21 Loa or more, and in the Petwo nation, even some Haitian-born figures from the Haitian Revolution have achieved status as Loa. This voodoo is a belief from ancestral lands of West Africa, Benin specifically, and it came with the Haitians to the island of Hispaniola during the times of slavery, after the indigenous people of that island, the Taino, were wiped out from what some say is disease, but also, let's be honest, probably Spanish or French attacks. Now, I don't want to get too much in the weeds about this because the Haitian subject is, oh man, it's extremely complex and it straddles a lot of different subjects. And it's a rather large warren of rabbit holes we just don't have time for in this. But I want to let you know that I found out that apparently Catholicism found its way to Africa at least a year before Columbus actually landed. I didn't even know. And unusually, Vodou and Catholicism have had 500 odd years of syncretism, i.e. mixing of religions and faiths. 500 years up until this point. These faiths have been mixing. You can be considered a Catholic, Christian in Haiti, but still have your heart open to Vodou. You have Papa Legba of the Rada nation, who is the gate opener. Danbala, often depicted as a snake that seems to represent the air domain, and you have Ezili Frida, who represents femininity. Of the Petwo, you have Simbi, and in the Gede nation, you have the voodoo icon that we all recognize, often depicted as a man, skeletal man, in a suit and a top hat, right? You've seen this before, probably. His name is Baron Samedi. There is a term called Seviloa, which translates to serving the Loa. It's like serving the spirits, right? These are kind of like festivals, fiestas almost, parties. So serving the Loa comes in many forms. Making offerings, which could be animals, but aren't actually sacrificed right there and then. Dancing. Singing. Performances in general. And ritualistic sacrifices. Ooh. That's interesting, isn't it? We're starting to get somewhere now. These sacrifices used to include humans too. And in some areas of war-torn Haiti, maybe that still happens. I've got video to suggest it does. Believe me, I didn't like watching it. But for the most part, animal sacrifices are how a believer may almost summon up a Loa by extolling their name and keeping the belief in that Loa fresh. There are specific dances, songs, and offerings for each Loa, and you would make a specific type of offering for that spirit. Most of the time, adherents would dress in white during these celebrations, right? These celebrations are called Fête Loa. Like fiestas, as I said before, spirit parties you might call them, but for Baron Samad, you would dress in purple robes, for example, and you would hold or offer spiced rum. That's like an example of how specific it gets. There is a whole culture here, people.
The Baron Samedi is probably the most famous Loa in this nation, commonly depicted as a fancy skeletal man dressed in a top hat and a coat with tails. The Baron is the Lord of the Cemetery, also the Lord of the Dead, and his assistants are the irreverent Gede spirits. For example, for those attending the November party honoring the Baron Samedi and his Gede, you usually dress in the colors black and purple and offer him spicy rum. Moreover, the dances and rhythms change depending on the spirit.
The male priests are called Ungon, and the priestesses are called Mambo. And they don't really have a strict clergy. They are more free-form and independent and roam around. They can offer advice, healing, protective amulets and relics and stuff. The Vodou services are held at temples called Unfo. And during the Fête Loa, possessions would be encouraged. Unlike most of Christianity, which acts to repel or deter possessions, the Vodouism have a term called ritual mounting, like riding, where they are privileged to act as a conduit between the spirit realm, from that realm and this, and would pass on guidance, healing, divinations. People being possessed even are called shuao, and it kind of means a horse being ridden. Now, it gets deeper than that, right? We've gone pretty deep, but I don't want to get too deep, but here we go. This is the main thing I want to say. This is the point where I feel like there's dishonesty at play, and you guys need to know this. In 2003, Haiti's Catholic president, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, officialized Haitian Vodou as an official religion in Haiti. Over 90% of Haitians are said to practice daily Vodou, and there is a common saying in Haiti and in the world in general that 70% of Haitians are Catholic, 30% are Protestant, but 100% are Vodou. Now, if you get on your butt, do some searches on YouTube or your favorite search engine, not necessarily Google, you will see a rich tapestry of history going back hundreds of years. In fact, Haiti's actual existence is credited by some to Vodou itself during their revolution against the French. August the 14th, 1791, a group of enslaved Haitians met at a place called Alligator Forest. It was like a political rally, but spiritually too. And the priests, Dati Boukman and Cécile Fatiman, made an offering of a wild boar to the spirits, or the Loa, and made a blood pact to win and be successful in this fight for freedom. They were slaves, remember? Now, revolution broke out immediately, and it took until 1804, we're talking over a decade, for them to get their independence and realize it and be recognized. This is not a small feat, guys. This is not a small footnote of history, especially not for the Haitians. The Haitian Revolt was the first and only successful slave revolt in Atlantic history to have resulted in a new nation and a black republic. Haiti was making the French extremely rich, guys. It was producing coffee, sugar, cane, spices, and more, and had allowed the French themselves, with their Spanish neighbors on that same island of Hispaniola, to eclipse the British in trade. This is big shit. This is seminal for the Haitian existence even. What I'm saying here is Vodou isn't something a Haitian isn't familiar with. It's not something they grow up to be arrogant or ignorant about, not know about. It's frankly critical to their existence. So after all this preamble, why oh why are we seeing such a dishonesty in the media surrounding this? Like they don't even know what it's about.
Indeed, the Haitians of Springfield can see the funny side too.
The Haitian don't hitting the cat, the dog. No, it's not no culture to hitting that.
Casey Rawlings runs the center.
How did you feel when you heard Donald Trump's words the other night?
I was physically ill. Still am. I can't even react. I mean, I can't even repeat it. It's just unfathomable to me. But that's what happens when hysteria is spread, and, all kinds of fictional narratives. And it's really, really doing harm to our world.
Why are we seeing Haitians doing interviews in Springfield pretending that this is an integral part of their culture? Why am I, a goddamned lame-ass VTuber, able to sleuth out basic information better than the mainstream journalists? Why aren't they reporting on this? They don't even mention it as an aside. It's almost like, color me surprised here guys, that journalists are just activists pushing a narrative. There's a vested interest in deceiving you and the Western peoples around the world about what our new neighbors are all about. Now hold on. Before we get too far here, this isn't any real person's fault for being born into a culture that has, to us, unusual practices to what we do in the West, right? Okay, cool. We're all on board with that, right? And I'm still not saying Haitians are sacrificing animals in America, but I am saying that in some examples I've showed now, we can see that there is some dishonesty at play. And I believe that really means we should pay more attention to this. Because this is being played off as if it's just a new age blood libel against the next batch of immigrants derived from some sort of neo-Nazi propaganda. One group called Blood Tribe, apparently. Now, I want to ask you something. Let's be honest. I've shown them here before already. I've played them before. Does she look like a neo-Nazi to you?
Why are y'all thinking it's just a joke? It's not a joke.
Does he look like a neo-Nazi to you?
And I don't even want to seem like I'm coming down on the immigrants, because it's the people that's bringing them down here, because wherever they're at, that's what they're used to, bro.
Have neo-Nazis invented a time machine and gone back into history to plant fake articles on the internet? History, and videos about voodoo culture from voodoo practitioners. Have they gone to these great lengths? Or can we say probably and possibly both can be true? I'd absolutely assume neo-Nazis would highlight any rumors about Haitians, but damn, come on. This keeps becoming a case of, well, that person said it and that clearly means it's bunk. It's not quite a whataboutism. It's kind of, well, they said aboutism. And I just think it's being used to shut down really important current affairs. We can't keep doing this, guys. We've got to get over this hump and start talking about this and start addressing it and giving proper support where it's due.
Listen, I am not Haitian, but I am from the Caribbean. The Haitian immigrants are indeed eating animals. Let me tell you something about these people. Not only are they harvesting cats for food, but also for witchcraft purposes, voodoo purposes. Understand this. If you don't want to take my word for it, go out there, meet a Haitian, talk to them about it. This is not something they aren't proud of. It's their culture. They eat these animals and they use the blood and bones of these animals for voodoo and witchcraft purposes. This is not a joke.
So I want to say, I don't think talking about ongoing issues like this is extreme or eliciting unfair hysteria. There is substantial conflict points in society here affecting people's lives. And just because we identify it doesn't mean that we're perpetrating it. And that is really important to say, I think, because I'm kind of getting annoyed about, oh, look, you see what we're doing? Oh, you must be bad because you're noticing. Come on, guys. That's played out now. I think that's played out. So, let's talk about what I've amassed. I've been on the internet, going through X, downloading a bunch of stuff, in case it gets removed. And it's, oof, I can't even really show it on YouTube, honestly, but I can describe it to you. Well, I can keep some snippets of audio. I don't know. If you're squeamish or in a hard place mentally right now, please be aware that I'm going to recount distressing realities ongoing in Haiti, and it's also going to cover why the Haitians are understandably trying to escape the place, but may also bring with them as a society, because it's complex, guys. It's a mixed bag, and not everyone is fully good and fully understood. I've got friends who deal with macabre subjects who could not watch this, who could not research into this too much. Why? Because it includes cannibalism. Oh, I mean, seriously. The live eating of animals. Brutally. So, with that said, I'm going to give you like a few seconds here of grace before we go over the subject matter. But in this next part, we're going to go over it. So let's get on with that now. So this video here, as of publish, is still available, and the link will be down below. I found it on YouTube as opposed to just taking it at face value on X. The woman here is also quite on board, telling how she prefers cat to chicken. It's worth stating that Haitians have endured some of the most tragic poverty in the world, and also resort to eating dirt cookies. Yeah, literal dirt, to help them fill their bellies from the pain of hunger. And we see there seems to be a Haitian economy to selling cat meat, which is odd that Haitians being interviewed by journalists would admit that, right? As you can see, this is an issue in the Dominican Republic too, the neighboring two-thirds of the same island that Haiti shares. These videos demonstrate that it's not an isolated or solo venture, but performed as a community with glee. It's performed inside and outside buildings. It seems to be multiple countries, not just one particular place. I suspect some of these videos may definitely be different countries, and these aren't in the USA, but the one earlier that I showed, the guy watching a cat on the grill of his neighbor, is reported to have been from Ohio in the USA, and the black man recording that video has responded to private journalists who have confirmed how the cadavers on the barbecue do not resemble chickens due to their leg structure. And that video was over a year old, guys, indicating that this issue has been brewing for a long time, before Nazis or Trump or Vance brought it up to international attention. Now, these next videos are going to be censored for YouTube, but on the other platforms they will be partly visible. We're talking about a man here wringing the neck of a cat in broad daylight. And it's just heartbreaking, honestly. Again, these can be the realities of hunger and poverty. However, looking at this, I wouldn't say the man in this video looks particularly malnourished. He's wearing presentable clothing, and honestly, I'm not even sure if this video is from Haiti, but it does show that this is a shared voodoo practice, I think. And it just gets worse from here. Now, in this video, we see what I think is the closest example of voodoo. And these guys, I do believe, are Haitians speaking Creole. This man and his friend, both laughing, might I add, are enjoying the process of biting into the neck of this cat and drinking its blood. This particular act signifies to me that this isn't strictly for food, but it's instead a real ritual sacrifice. Maybe to grant the man great dexterity or strength or luck in an upcoming fight. This particular video here hurt me the most to watch. But a lot of people will absolutely click off this next part of the video, where we are now watching a man in Haiti drag a fellow Haitian's corpse across some burning rubble, cooking him, and now using his blade to cut into the man's leg and present the meat to his lips. Yeah, he's eating it in front of the camera and in front of people just standing there and observing. Maybe they're waiting for some, I don't know what's going on here. This is barbarity beyond what the West is prepared for. And I want to ask you, say this man gets in over his head in Haiti and decides suddenly, he's got to leave for a better life. Don't you think his conscience has been so severely stretched that eating a cat or wringing the neck of a goose he finds in the local Snyder Park, for example, it's many orders magnitude tamer than eating a dead person he may or may not have killed in the street, cooking it over burning rubble? Is that someone you want working in your community? This one took a few days, so please do the things, all the things. Comment, like, and share to your worst enemies. Till next time, hasta la vista.